Hotties love our show. He's romantic and me. We will do this show every Monday. Won't send you on a search, but we gotta say. Scrolls with such as teas. Hotties love the show. Oh, hotties love the show. Well, to see their hotness. Hotties love the show. Hotties love the show. To love our hotties.
All right, welcome back to Hotties of a Show. And tonight we're talking about a show that really said, what if high school was already stressful, but also you might die every Tuesday? And somehow, in between all the vampires, demons, apocalypse nonsense, emotional trauma, and people making the worst decisions possible, this show still managed to be absolutely loaded. We're talking Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And look, I'm trying to follow the plot. I'm trying to keep track of who's evil, who's good, who's secretly evil, who used to be evil, but now feels bad about it. And meanwhile, the show is just casually throwing these women on screen like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. So yeah, let's get into it. Might as well start with the titular, how do you say it? Titular character, Buffy Summers. Buffy had that main character, and she knows it energy. Like she just walks into a room, and you're just supposed to accept that everything revolves around her now. And you know what? It does. She's out here saving the world, going to school, dealing with relationships, and still somehow looking like she has it together more than anybody else. Meanwhile, I can't even find matching socks. It's impressive. She had that mix of strength and normal life that made it hit harder too. Because she's fighting demons, but also dealing with regular life stuff like it's just another inconvenience. Yeah, I slayed a vampire last night, but I also have homework. That balance. Yeah, that'll get your attention. All right, next we have my number one. We'll talk about my number two later, but this is my number one. And that's Cordelia Chase. Cordelia didn't just walk in the scenes, she judged them. Immediately. There was no filter, no hesitation. Just straight up, I said what I said energy every single time. And the wild part, half the time she was right. She had that confidence where she didn't need anyone's approval. She wasn't asking. She wasn't checking. She already decided she was the standard and moved on. And honestly, that kind of energy is dangerous and sexy. Because now you're not just watching her, you're waiting to see what she's going to say next. Next, we have Drusilla. Drusilla was not okay at all. And somehow that made her even more interesting to watch and hotter. Because every time she showed up, I felt like something weird was about to happen. She talked like she was in a completely different reality, moved like she wasn't fully connected to what was going on. And you're sitting there like, I don't understand this, but I'm not looking away. That's power right there. Then we have Dawn Summers. Dawn brought that why is everything happening to me energy. And that's fair. Because imagine being surrounded by all this chaos and you're just trying to exist. She felt real in a way a lot of characters didn't. More emotional, more reactive, more like an actual person dealing with completely insane situations. And that grounded everything. Even when everything else was ridiculous. And now here's my number two, Faith. Faith came in like rules were optional. And for her, they were. She had that reckless energy where you just knew something was going to go wrong. You just didn't know when or how bad it was going to be. And that unpredictability, that's what made her stand out immediately and made her sexier. Because she didn't feel controlled. She felt like a problem. And somehow, that made her even more interesting and sexy. Then we have Jenny Calendar. Jenny had that calm, collected, I know more than I'm saying vibe. She wasn't loud about it. She didn't need to be. She carried herself like someone who already understood the situation while everybody else was still figuring it out. And that kind of quiet control, sexy. It's different because it feels intentional. Next, we have Kennedy. Kennedy showed up confident from the jump. No warm up, no let me find my place. She already decided she belonged there. And she stayed on that energy the entire time. That kind of self assurance stands out because there's no question about it. It makes her hotter. And next, we got Kendra. Kendra was all business, no nonsense, no distractions, just straight focus, straight sexy and hot. She treated everything like it had a right way and a wrong way. And she was going to do it the right way every time. And that discipline gave her a completely different presence. Sexy one at that. Then we have Carrot Head. Carradine was quieter, but steady, didn't force attention, didn't demand it, but she was there. And sometimes that kind of presence hits in a different way. Because it's not loud, but it sticks and makes you hot. That's why Buffy the Vampire Slayer works so well for this. Because it wasn't just one type and over again, it was range. You had different energies, different personalities, different ways of pulling your attention. And no matter how chaotic the story got, and it got very chaotic, you still had these moments where you had to stop and go, all right, hold on now. Because the show wasn't just entertaining, it knew how to keep your attention in more ways than one with sexy bitches. And that's why it's still 6.